Misha, 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 נכנס אדר. Misha, 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 נכנס אדר. Misha, נכנס אדר. מרבים בשמחה. מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה. מישה 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 נכנס אדר. מישה 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 נכנס אדר. מישה נכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה. מי שנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה. One more time. Misha, 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 נכנס אדר. Misha, 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 נכנס אדר. משנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה. משנכנס אדר מרבים בשמחה. From the Talmud, it says, when the month of Adar enters, we increase in joy. And this year, this Jewish year it's a leap year, but it's also called a Shana Me'uberet. When the year has an extra month, it's actually called a pregnant year. And what? Oh.
The 17 year, the
14 year.
Right.
There we go. See, I had no idea. All the reasons. So this year, the rabbis could have chosen like any which way to do the Jewish calendar, but they chose in a special leap year to double the month of Adar and have there be an Adar 1, which we're entering tonight, and an Adar 2, where Purim falls, specifically the month that is supposed to be the most joyful month of the year. And it feels extra needed this year. I have a friend named Miriam who I went to rabbinical school with, and for the entire month of Adar, she would come to school in costume, not just on Purim, but every single day. And she would just go all out. So I'm not as courageous as Miriam, but yeah, she committed to the bit.
I had a grad school classmate that just did wigs.
Wigs. So I need to, bulk up my stock of costume things, but we need it this year. We need more joy. And so here we are on Shabbat, on Rosh Chodesh Adar, starting to bring it in wherever we are. I'll say a little more about this later on. But for now, Shabbat Shalom. Let's turn to begin Kabbalat Shabbat together with L'chuna Ranana on page 11. L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai Nariha Letzor Yishenu Nekad Mafanav Betoda Bismirot Narihalo Ki El Gadol Adonai Melech HaKol Elohim Eshketav Yitzaru Bo'u Nishtach Lecha Ki Hu Eloheinu V'anachnu Am Marit Tzoned Shuv Vavchem B'Liba Arba'im Shana Akud Bedor Vahomar Am Toei Levavhem Vehem Lo Yadod Rachai Asher Nishbati Vehapi Im Yivun Al Menuchati. Page 13. Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash Shiru Ladonai Kol Haaretz Shiru Ladonai Shemo Basru Miyom Leyom Yeshuato Sapru Vagoyim Yevodo Bechol Ha'amim Niflehotav Ki Gadol Adonai Umul Al Me'od Norahu Al Kol Elohim Ay Adonai Shamayim Masa Hod V'Hadar Lefanav Oz V'Tiferet B'Mikdasho Havul Adonai Mishpachot Amim Havul Adonai Kavod V'Hoz Havul Adonai Kavod Shemo Zahu Mincha Uvod Lechatzrotav Hayai Ishtachavu Adonai B'Hadrak Kodesh Hilu Mipanav Kol Haaretz Imru Agoyim Adonai Malach Aftikon Tevel Baal Timod Yadinamim B'Meisharim Yismechu Hashamayim V'Tagel Haaretz Yiram Hayam Umelo Yalo Sadai B'Kol Asher Bo Ay Az Iranenu Kol Hatzei Lifnei Adonai Kiva Yishbot Haaretz Yishbot Tevel B'Tzedek Ve'amin Ve'amunato Yanai Nai 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 Adonai Malach Tagil Haaretz Yismechu Yim Rabbi Ra'atav Tachel Haaretz Lifnei Adonai Ra'u. We're on page 16, 4 lines down. Shama v'tismach Tzion v'tagelna v'nod Yehuda leman mishpatecha Adonai ki ata Adonai Elyon al kol haaretz meod na'aleta al kol Elohim Oavei Adonai Sinura Shomer nafshot chasidav Miyad Rishayim Yatzileh Urzaru ala tzadik Ul yishrei lev simcha Simchu tzadikim baronai V'hodu lezecher kodsho Mizmor shiru l'Adonai shir chadash Kol afsei Yitzchu v'ranenu v'zameru Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel betzedek ve'amim b'meisharim. Adonai malach yirgazu So I'm just starting to settle back into this time zone and being back from Israel and back home. And as you can imagine, it's a lot to process. And I was thinking about what I wanted to share tonight because it's also Repro Shabbat. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about reproductive health and justice later on. And I'll share more tomorrow, of course, about the Israel trip. But I want to share with you a couple thoughts now. The morning, I landed on Monday morning, last Monday. And the very first thing we did together as a group was a learning session with one of Israel's greatest scholars of Hebrew literature and poetry, Rachel Korazim. And I had learned with Rachel before. When I was in rabbinical school, I remember she taught a course at Yad Vashem that we took. But in this just hour-long session, she introduced our group to some of the new Israeli poetry that's been written since October 7th. Some of the poems are just too raw to share with you here during services on Shabbat. But there's one in particular that I wanted to share with you because it captured something that I think not only many Israelis feel, but I have also felt many times over the last 4 months. So just to give you, there's my boarding passes and stubs. They're all falling out. Actually, that's from my last trip. This is from 2022. Okay, so this poem, I'm going to read it in Hebrew and then in English. I'll stand. It's called Good Day, Yom Tov by Tal Shavit. I'll read it in Hebrew first so you can get a feel for the language, and then I'll read it in translation. And there are a few little pronunciation things here that I'm not totally sure about, so I'll do my best. אני רוצה לנהל את כל החמלים, לשנע את כל הציודים. אני רוצה לטפל בכל הילדים של האימהות היחדניות ושאינן. אני רוצה להפוך עצמי לווסטים עבור כל הנלחמים, ולכיפות מגינות מעל ראשיהן של כל הילדות כולן. לתמוך בכל המשפחות המפונות, הנשברות, המרוסקות. להשיב את כל האבדות, להחזיר את כל החטופות. אני רוצה לאסוף את כל התרומות ולהביאן ליעדן. להעביר את כל ההודעות, להכין את כל הכריכים, לרכז את כל המאמצים. אבל ביום טוב אני מצליחה לפעמים לנשום, לפעמים לשתות, לפעמים להתקשר לאהובים ואהובות. ביום טוב אני מצליחה לפעמים לבכות. I want to manage all the war rooms, mobilize all the supply chains. I want to take care of all the children, of all the single mothers and those who are gone. I want to turn myself into protective vests for all the fighters, become iron domes over the heads of all the girls, each and every one. to sustain all the families, the evacuated, the broken, the crushed, to return those who were taken, to bring back all that is gone. I want to collect all the donations and take them where they belong, to pass all the messages, to make all the sandwiches, to oversee all the efforts. But on a good day, I manage, sometimes, to breathe, sometimes to drink, sometimes to call loved ones. On a good day, I manage, sometimes, to cry. Tal Shavit, I don't know their gender, I think manages to capture here, you know, that human spirit, which I witnessed so across the board in Israel, to just leap into action and do everything and be present everywhere, and also the way in which that kind of action is in some way also holding just the thread of all of the trauma that has yet to be processed, that will take years, decades to really work through. But even now, 4 months in, it felt like people are just beginning maybe to have the space to be able to really feel what has happened, what is happening, what is ongoing. And this year, as we're entering into this month of Adar, this first month of Adar, many people are asking, what do we do with Purim this year? What do we do with the season where we're commanded, we're supposed to feel joyful when maybe that feels really, really far off? You're supposed to just psych yourself up for it. You're supposed to, what do you do? And so this is not the first time, obviously, the Jewish people has ever dealt with this question. What do we do? And we collectively, as an entire people, joy feels really far away. And I went back today to the words of the Piazetzner Rebbe, the famous Rebbe from the Warsaw Ghetto, who wrote Divrei Torah and messages to his community even when they were in agony. And he wrote a message to them for Purim where he said, you can sort of hear the same question echoing. How do I tell my community to feel joy now when I don't feel it, when no one feels it? And so he makes a really smart comparison. He says, for the mystics, and I've shared this before, it's an interesting comparison they make. They say, Purim is like Yom Kippur. And you can even hear it in the name. Yom Kippur is a day like Purim. Weird, right? Because Purim and Yom Kippur seem like the farthest apart holidays possible, but for the mystics, they weren't so far apart. They were about really showing our true selves. And so he learns that from Yom Kippur, even when we haven't done all the work, even when we haven't done all the tshuva, all the apologies, even when maybe we're not in the mood or we don't want to fast or we're just not feeling it, there's a phrase from the rabbis, itzumo shel hayom mechaper. The essence of the day itself atones. Even if we do nothing, even if we didn't prepare at all, we come to shul or we stay at home for Yom Kippur, and the day itself works its way on us, and we're healed somehow by that day. And he says, if that's true for the realm of tshuva, for Yom Kippur, it's also true for Purim. There's something in this season that the essence of this season is going to bring us some kind of joy and some kind of salvation, even if we don't feel, even if it feels so far off. This time, this and this is the beauty, I think, of the Jewish calendar and Jewish time. It is able to hold us and offer out a possibility for light, which we may not even be able to feel yet. And I'll just share before we continue with our davening that I just heard this beautiful drash from Rabbi Tamar Elad Applebaum this week, who said, one of her members of her community said, I really am excited about celebrating my bar mitzvah, but I feel guilty. I'm not supposed to be happy during this time. Nobody's happy during this time. So am I allowed to be excited about my bar mitzvah? And she said, not only are you allowed to be excited, you have an obligation to feel joy because you are able to taste that light that so many of us can't taste yet. You are the one who's going to build a bridge for us from yesterday to tomorrow, because we will all need to build that bridge eventually, and you see where we're going. So I hope that in this season of Purim, in this season of Adar, we can see some of those glimmers of light already percolating from wherever they may emerge from. And maybe this week, maybe you began to see some of them, or maybe this coming week you can start to find them wherever they are. We're on page 21. Yarai, rai, rai, rai. Yarai, rai, rai, rai. Yarai, rai, rai, rai. Ai, rai, rai, rai. Yarai, rai, rai, rai. Yarai, rai, rai, rai. Yarai, rai, rai, rai. Ai, rai, rai, rai. Yarai, 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 rai, rai, rai. Yai, yai, rai, rai, rai. Dai, da, dun. Yai, dai, da, dun, da. Dai, da, dun, dai. Yai, dai, da, dun, dai. Yai, dai, da, dun, dai, dai, yan, dai, da, da, dai, dai. Yai, dai, da, dun, dai. Yai, dai, da, dun, dai. Yai, dai, da, dun, dai, dai. Yan, dai, da, da, dai, dun, dai, 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 yai. Ai, da, dun, dai, dai. Ai, dai, 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 da, dun, dai, dai. Ai, dai, 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 ai, da, dun, dai, dai. Ai, dai, 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 ai, da, dun, dai, dai. Mismor David, Havul Adonai ben Elim, Havul Adonai kavod va'oz, Havul Adonai kevod shemo, Hishtachavul Adonai b'adra kodesh, ay kol Adonai alamayim el hakavod. Hirim Adonai, Amayim Abim Kol Adonai, Ba'akoah, Kol Adonai, Behadar, Kol Adonai, Shover Arazim, Vaishaber Adonai, Darze Halvanon, Vayarkidem Kimoeg, Ayayle Ivanon, Vesir Yon Kimo Ven Remim Kol Adonai, Hotziv Lavotesh Kol Adonai, Yachim Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, כל אדוני חולל איילות, ויחסו יערות, והיכלו כולו מרכב, אדוני למה בו ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום יאי די דדני יאי די דדני יאי די דדני ני 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 יאי די דדני יאי די דדני יאי די דדני ני 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 ay nay 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 ay nay ay nay 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 ay nay 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 ay nay 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 ay nay 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 ay nay ay nay 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 ay nay 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 ay nay 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 Turn to Legato D, page 23. Legato D, לקראת כלה, בני שבת. נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו תפארת בלי תילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה ימכו הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה מקדש מלך עם מלוכה ומצאי מתוך חפכה רב לך שבט בימך הבכה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התנערי מעפר קומי לישי בגדי תפארתך עמי על יד בן ישי והתהלכני קורבן נפשי גאלה לך דודי לקראת כלה Kabbalat, B'nai Shabbat, the Kabbalat, Lecha Dodi, Kabbalat, B'nai Shabbat, the Kabbalat, Hitorari, Hitorari, Hivahoreh, Humiori, Rihuri, Shirdabari, Yivod Adonai, Alaich Nikla, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nikabbalat, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Nikabbalat. O tevoshi, velo tikalmi, matishlochachi, umatami, vachechasu, ani ayami, venivneta, iratila, lecha dodi, tikrakala, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat, Behaylim Shisa, Shosai, Birachaku, Omivalai, Yasis Alai, Elohai, Imsos Satan, Al-Kala, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat. Yamin u'smol, tifotzi, v'yat Adonai taritzi, al yarish ben parsi, v'nismecha v'nagila, oh lecha dodi, likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat, oh lecha dodi, likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam v'simcha, bo v'tzolam, toch emunei, am segolam, boi chala, boi chala, oh lechai dodi, likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat, oh lechai dodi, likrat kala, B'nai Shabbat, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat, B'nai Shabbat, B'nai Shabbat, Kabbalat. Shabbat Shalom. So just take a moment before we continue just to turn to somebody near you and say hi and Shabbat Shalom and welcome home and welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah. How you doing? Okay. Yeah, glad you're here. Thank you. Okay. Before we pick up with the Psalm for Shabbat, want to offer a particular welcome to Lori Edlin, who just lost her father, Bert, and we'll welcome you with these words on page 26. Hamakom yinechem erchem betoch sha'ar avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you along with all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Let's turn to page 28, to the Tzadikat Tamar. Tzadikat Tamar Yifra Eres Balvanon Yisgah Shetoli Bebeit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrihu Hod Yenod Veseva Deshenim Virananim Yihu Lehagi Yashar Adonai Tori Velo Avlatavo Adonai Malach Yeud Lavish Adonai Uzitazar. Mikolot Ma'im Rabim Adirim Mishpaream Adir Bamarom Adonai Edotecha Nemnu Meod Leveitcha Navakodesh Adonai Leorech Yamim. So I am working with a couple right now who is getting married in April. And I grew up here in the Atlanta area, but they're currently living in New Haven because they're both residents after completing medical school. And the groom is a pediatrician, and the bride is an OBGYN. And the groom was born Jewish, and the bride is converting to Judaism. And love this couple. They're amazing. Really excited for them to join our community once they move down here. And we were meeting last night, and the woman asks me, really kind of out of the blue, what does Judaism have to say about bodily autonomy? Meaning, as a doctor, she thinks a lot, both of them think a lot, but in particular, she's thinking a lot about the decisions that she and her patients make together, the decisions that her patients make, and she's aware, she knows that there's a theological idea within Judaism that our bodies aren't really our own. This idea that as human beings here on earth, we're entrusted with these bodies they essentially belong to God, and we're kind of the caretakers for these vessels while we're here on earth. And then ultimately, after we die, these bodies will go into the earth and the souls will go back to God. But maybe, and I think she was kind of intimating, maybe there is an idea within Judaism that we don't really have full bodily autonomy, that we don't really get to fully decide as individuals about our bodies, about the choices that we make, and maybe other factors. And I could tell that this notion, it was a really smart question, but also she was disturbed by the implication, specifically as an OBGYN, is specifically navigating healthcare with her patients around reproductive freedom and abortion, among other medical issues. And I had never had this conversation with anyone before, and it was sort of completely coincidental because I was already planning on talking about this Shabbat, and then this conversation happened really out of the blue. And I appreciated this framing because it softened, I think, for me, often the very, very kind of black and white way we talk about decisions about the body. Because on one hand, there is this really core value within Jewish tradition that the body is sacred, and that it's not always up to us exactly. But that's matched with a deep view within the Jewish tradition about kavod habriot, about kavod adam, essential human dignity, and how we strive to uphold human dignity in every way possible. So I want to talk just for a little bit about this idea within Jewish tradition, and Davka on this Shabbat, many communities across America are marking the Shabbat as called Repro Shabbat, to talk about issues of reproductive health, because in this week's Torah portion in Parshat Mishpatim, one of the particular laws that's given, so last week we received Torah at Mount Sinai, and then this week's Parsha is a continuation of all of those laws, not just the 10 Commandments, but many laws about how we construct a just society. And one of them in particular kind of sets up the foundation for Judaism's position on abortion in particular. And I have to tell you, I struggle with this law, and you'll probably hear why or can intuit why, but here's how it's set out in the Parsha. So there's essentially a case, it's written as case law, that in a scenario, the scenario we have here is two men are fighting, and somehow in the course of their brawl, a pregnant woman is injured. We don't know how this happened exactly, but she's injured. And so the case presents two different possibilities for what could have happened. Both of them are bad. Let's just say that from the outset. In one possibility, her child, her fetus, God forbid, is aborted unintentionally. And in that case, the assailant has to pay some kind of monetary damages. And then in the alternate case, where the woman herself is either injured or, God forbid, killed in this brawl, the punishment is different. The Torah says, like it says with many other laws in this Torah portion, the punishment should be eye for eye, tooth for tooth, life for life. And so these are set as really different cases. In the case where the fetus is killed, it's I don't know the legal term, lawyers help me out, it's not a capital crime. And the case where the woman is killed, it is a capital crime. Setting up this paradigm that to abort a fetus is not akin to murder according to Jewish law. And this there's a lot of areas of Jewish law that are really kind of unclear, up for debate, and there is gray area in terms of how it gets applied, but the bottom line, halachically, legally, within Jewish tradition, is that abortion is permitted and sometimes even required if the woman's health is at risk, if her life is at risk. And that category of health or her life is actually, according to the poskim, according to the legal authorities, very broadly defined. And so certainly in the cases where she would, God forbid, lose her life due to a pregnancy, the abortion would be required. But even cases that might surprise you, cases where her mental health is at stake, cases where her financial livelihood or family's financial livelihood from having another child is at stake. Even in those cases, many, many Jewish authorities permit abortion to occur. I want to take a step back and say that when we think about Jewish law, there are always kind of two operative categories. And so on one side, we've talked so far about halakha, about the way the law is set out, the foundation for the law, and then how it's applied by later poskim, later authorities. But there's another side too, which is equally, if not more important, and it's what our tradition calls agadah, or the narrative foundation. Oftentimes narrative is sort of shunted to the side, like, it's just narrative, it's stories, it's for kids. Narrative, not so, it's kind of fluffy, but not so in the Jewish tradition. Agadah and halakha have to go hand in hand. And this is really kind of the bottom line message that I want to share on this Shabbat. Whatever your sort of opinion on this very, very charged, very, very personal question or issue is, I think the one thing that often gets ignored in this conversation are the stories that are at the heart of people's experiences. Even in the way that the Torah sets out this law, we have this case, but there is so much that the Torah, and this is what I frankly am quite challenged by and bothered by, and it's just the nature of the Torah and the nature of case law as it's described here, but I'm really challenged by the fact that we know nothing about this woman, that she, even in the way the law is set out, is not an agent. And you can say that's the time, that's the context of the era 3,000 years ago. We can't expect much more, but I want to know her story. I want to know how far along she was in her pregnancy. I want to know if she had any relationship with either of these two men. Was she just walking to the store one day and got caught in something she shouldn't have? Was this a domestic dispute? What was happening here? And then, of course, in the aftermath, how did she heal? Who was by her side as she tried to heal her body and heal her spirit from what must have been one of the worst experiences of her life? And I think so often in our contemporary conversation, because this issue is so charged, we don't get a chance to listen because there's so much stigma here in the conversation. We don't get a chance to listen and really know the stories underneath the law, the agadah behind the halakha. And so my prayer for us this Shabbat, and really I was, in my head I was like, okay, I'm going to be talking about this Shabbat. I'm also thinking about coming back from Israel. Is there any relation between these two topics? And I think maybe this is the thread, is that if there's anything that's common for us, it's the incumbent role for all of us to really listen to the human stories underneath the headlines, to really lift up the experience of the people who are directly in the front lines, directly in the heart, in the belly of the beast, day to day to day, and just bear witness in however we possibly can. May this be our work. May this be our holy work as we go forward. Shabbat Shalom. So let's rise together for Baruch Hu. 39. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. You can be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kila ma'asav b'yom hashvi'i. Umavir yom umehivi laila umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzavot shemo El chai v'kayam tamidim lo chaleinu leolam vaed Baruch atah Adonai Amari v'haravi Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha haftat. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nehegei yomam v'layla ve'avatcha al tasir mimenu leolamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam veshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot beinenecha, uchtavtam am zuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Vehaya shmati shmitzvah shenochim mitzvechem hayom. Benatidi. There's something. The money both. Vayom Adonai HaMashalimot. Tziti v'mir tziti. Adonai Elohecha melech v'emuna kol zot v'kayam aleinu. Shalom. We'll pick up on page 44. ומלכותו ברצו קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו עולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה יהיה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מי החזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמדנו שומרנו לחיים. We'll take a few moments here to offer prayer of healing, Mishaberach for Cholim. And I'll invite you, if there's anybody in particular that you're praying for tonight who's in need of healing of body or spirit, to rise and to share their names with us. Yechezkel ben Penina, Yvette James Boy, Rochel bat Yanshu v'Shoshana, Sarah Miriam bat Ahuva v'Zev, Atara bat Sarah Leah v'Zev Halevi, Yehudit bat Basia v'Dov Ber, Miriam Liba bat Risa Brana, Jean Greenberg, Thor Stenslin, Howard Hecht, Katya Romo, Jeff Kremer, Ellen Golden, Chazan Ruth Elka bat Bela, Raphael ben Malka v'Lev Yehuda, Yehudit Bracha bat Mordechai Devora, Rabbi Jeff Feinstein, and Jeffrey Landis. This as a call and response. Mishabera Avoteinu Mekora Chaim Leimoteinu Refuah Shlema. Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We'll rise on page 46. We brought this melody for Vashamru in a few weeks ago from Rabbi Yosef Goldman. Oh. Covered it up. And we'll sing along with the chorus.
She needs that.
לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חונו יומכון וחייתך בית ישראל, בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב במהרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם ועמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודש בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמא במהרו amen. We'll take a few moments for the Amidah for on our own, and you'll add in the section for Rosh Chodesh when you get there. And when you're finished, you can take a seat. Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel amen. Yitkadal v'yitkara shemei rabba be'alma tivrach yirte v'yamlich machute b'chayachonu v'yamechonu chayedecho beit Yisrael b'galau v'zman kari v'meru Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'alam ulo me'amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yidroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei kodesha Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran b'yama v'yimeru Amen. Dika batzlot hon v'arhon d'cho Yisrael kodam avohondi v'shmai v'yimeru Amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'ako Yisrael v'yimeru Amen. V'oseh shalom b'mroma v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'ako Yisrael v'ako yoshvei tevel v'yimeru Amen. We'll rise for Aleinu, page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gedula v'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, V'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim v'yaser haaretz hamashiach. Al kei nekaveh lecha Adonai Eloheinu. Kakatuv b'toratacha Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu bayom hahu yiyah Adonai echad u'shemo 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 echad. 'Hu Adonai echad, 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 u'shemo ech Turn to Mourner's Kaddish. And this week, as we're saying Kaddish, we're remembering Bert Meisler of blessed memory, Laurie's father, Judith Linnos of blessed memory, the mother of Stephen Linnos, Shirley Voron of blessed memory, the mother of Sherry Reish, all during Shloshim, as well as the art sites of Bennett Ginberg, Sol Friedman, Ida Plotnikov, Pauline Strauss, Victor Sasson, Lila Solson, Thelma Bell Lewis, Lillian Strongwater Cohen, Dolores Arnovitz, and Joni Cower. Yhi zichronam livracha. May all their memories be a blessing. I invite everyone saying Kaddish to join together on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach hirute ve'yamlich machute. V'chayachon u'vyom echon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lomei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imeru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'akol Yisrael v'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'akol yoshvei tevel v'imeru amen. May the one who makes peace for all of us make peace on high, make peace for us, for all Israel, for all humanity. And we say, amen, amen. Shabbat shalom. Here, I'll move it. We'll move out of the way so we're not like.
No, you're good. I
Okay,
will move
okay.
to the side.
Okay,
Or maybe I won't move to the side. You know what? I'll just stand here.
okay.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you, guys. It was so nice to have this back.
It was
again.
really nice.
Not nearly as good as last Friday night's service, but it
That one will live on in history.
was still quite.
I heard of it.
It was, almost. Tomorrow morning, we are enjoying Men's Club running Shabbat services and Kiddush. And in this case, that means they asked Bennett to make Kiddush for them. Men's Club Shabbat. Thank you. At 10:30 is John Katan, 11 o'clock is Tat Shabbat. At noon, our Parkinson's support group will be meeting in classroom 4. And that's for both patients and caregivers. Then tomorrow night at 7:30, here, Slaying the Big Room.
Not to be missed.
Not the theater at Orthodox, but playing the big room. The monoliths. We currently have about 170 people coming to this thing tomorrow night. So please come and join us. If you've not already signed up for tomorrow night, there's still a couple of seats available. Love to have you. Feel free to join us. Ordasheen at 3 o'clock on Sunday is having an event taking place here. It is a recipe swap. Bring your favorite cookbooks. There's nothing going on Sunday at 3 o'clock, so there's plenty of time to do that and then get home for the Super Bowl. There's casting for the Muppet Spiel, the Forum Spiel, also at 3 o'clock on February 11th. So if you are an actor, actress, performer, entertainer, please come on Sunday, and then you can swap some recipes.
I think that is canceled. The Ornashim thing is not happening.
The Ornashim event has been canceled?
Yes. Only Purim auditions.
Only Purim auditions are now.
Oh, yeah. I did see an email about that. Yeah.
And then a week from this Sunday on the 18th at 3:30.
Oh, yeah. I'll say. So my trip was sponsored by and led by the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, and many of us who participated on the Israel trip are going to be joining here at Or Chadash at 3:30 next Sunday, the 18th, to talk about the trip and share more stories and experiences and do a little panel and Q&A. So would love for you to come join along with many of our friends from throughout Atlanta. 3:30 Sunday afternoon.
So it's you and the 14 dude rabbis.
Yes. We needed more women rabbis on this trip for sure. But
And then on the 24th of daily dancing. We'll be having it right there in the social hall on the 24th. So come and join that. That information is online as well. And with that, Shabbat Shalom.
Shkoyach. All right, let's rise for Kiddush. And I'll say right before I flew home, after Shabbat last week, we were given a little packet of Shabbat candles, and in it contained a picture of one of the hostages still held in Gaza. And so tonight, when we lit candles before services, we lit in honor of Ariel Cuneo, 26 years old, Israeli man, who's still held in Gaza. And pray for his healing and for the swift return of all 136 of them. And we make Kiddush thinking of them and their families. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshenu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchi lanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra hekodesh, zehicher litziat mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. Chaim. Israeli grape juice is too sweet for me. Even American grape juice is very sweet, but. So we'll close with bracha for all of us to give and to receive. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Kini hiratzon.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'choneka.
Kini hiratzon.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Kini hiratzon.
May God bless you and keep you all safe and healthy. May God shine light on you and be gracious to you. May God lift up goodness to you and grant you peace and all of us peace. Ken Hiratzon. Shabbat shalom.
Amen.
Misha, 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 נכנס אדר. Misha, 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 נכנס אדר. Misha, נכנס אדר. מרבים בשמחה. Misha נכנס אדר, מרבים בשמחה.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure somebody was gonna. Yeah. I was on this with her, like,